RX Television on RxMuscle.com. This is Ask Dave, better known as hashtag Ask Dave, brought to you by Species Nutrition. Visit speciesnutrition.com. I'm your host, Adib Faruqi. This is our weekly 30-minute question and answer show with Dave Palumbo. All your questions on diet, training, supplementation, IFBB, pros, competition, life, whatever. Of course, in 8 days, we are going to be speaking to you live from Columbus, Ohio, the site of the 2017 Arnold Classic. We're all going to be on hand. Myself, Dave Palumbo, Johnny Styles, Chris Aceto, and our job is to provide you with the best wall-to-wall coverage of the Arnold Classic. Speaking of which, check right now on RxMuscle.com and our YouTube channel, our Road to the Arnold Classic, which is, of course, sponsored by Quest Nutrition, and we thank them for their support, allowing us to do what it is that we do best, and that is bringing you the best contest coverage in the industry. Right now, we have Hide Yamagishi. Coming up later today is Luke Sando, and later tomorrow, Andre Ferguson in one of the most explosive one-on-one interviews you will have ever seen in the bodybuilding industry. That and a whole catalog of interviews. So make sure to check RxMuscle.com and our YouTube channels. We now check in with Dave Palumbo. Dave, you have some updates. Well, let's touch on the Arnold first, but you have some updates as well on your new app.
Well, the Arnold Classic obviously is the excitement of the year right now. This is the first big show of the year's first IFBB Pro show that we'll be seeing, with Men's Open in it. We have a great lineup. Even though Josh Lenartowicz just dropped out, I still think the lineup is rock solid, from the Dallas McCarvers and Cedric McMillans and lineup by Ikis, and people are posting pictures and people getting excited. But I think actually the 212 division, believe it or not, might be more exciting because you got defending champion Hide Yamagishi coming in, who we just interviewed yesterday, if people want to catch that interview. We have Jose Raymond, who lost last year, who was the defending champion the year before that, coming back with a vengeance, and we have him a little later today on the show. And then, of course, we have Ahmad Ashkanani, who was second at the Olympia, who was, came out of nowhere last year to basically do that. So this is a tough battle in that 212 division, and I don't want to count that guy, Sister Nino, who we also interviewed about it last week, who thinks he can beat everyone up there. So it's going to be a great battle in the 212. So I think I'm almost looking forward to the 212 more than the Open. But any chance I get to go, to these shows and see Chris Aceto and see you, Sid, since now you're not living here anymore, it's going to be an exciting weekend for sure. Also, another great highlight for me, at least, is the Bob Goldman International Hall of Fame ceremony there, which we'll be taping and putting up later that day on Saturday. That's going to feature the likes of Herschel Walker getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, as well as Lou Ferrigno and a bunch of other dignitaries. So it's going to be terrific. I already got my Herschel Walker interview lined up. I can't wait. I was obviously a fan growing up watching football, so this should be it's going to be a good weekend. It'll be a great weekend.
Right now, actually, on our YouTube channel for the Road to the Arnold, we have Guy Cisternino, Fouad Abiad, we have Hide Yamagishi, and then, like I said, going up later today, Luke Sando, the 2016 UK BFF champion. We're going to be speaking to Jose Raymond, Oksana Grishina later today, and a whole host more. And then on Friday, actually, we're going to be taping Iron Debate, which is going to go up later next week, closer towards the date of the Arnold. But we're going to have a special guest. Not going to reveal the name yet, but it's one that you're going to want to watch and see his opinions. He's a hard-hitting, opinionated guy, and we're going to have him on Iron Debate. But, Dave, you did tell me that you had some new updates on your app if you want to fill the audience in.
Yes, the Dave Palumbo Experience app. And that's exactly what it is. You go on there and you have access to all my videos I've ever done, all my written articles, all in one place. Plus, there's a ability to put all your food into a nutritional tracker to tell you all the macros and everything like that. There's workouts up there. And probably the best piece of information that is up there is the fact that you can ask me questions on the app. And I answer them all day long. And then the best ones I take and I do a special private Q&A, which is whatever, if you guys like Ask Dave, it's like Ask Dave plus 10. So I do that for just the app viewers or the app subscribers, and they get that once a week, a video. So, and then every day we have updates going, because I have a partner who I basically give updates to, and he puts them up every single day for me. So it's a dynamic type of app. It doesn't just sit and be the same thing all the time. It's constantly being updated with new information. And I know I have a couple people who are subscribers who tell me if something happens to their phone or the app somehow got deleted, they're having a nervous breakdown because they can't get on there to check the updates. So it's super, super popular. It's $29 a month. It's very affordable. A lot of guys can't afford coaches, but this is kind of like having your own coach, me, available at your beck and call. And the great thing about it is that, it's easily accessible from your phone. I wanted something that was going to be super, super easy, and apps are the way to go. And I was kind of reticent to start one, and then I said, I'm going to do it, and it's been very successful. People really love it, and it inspires me to work harder for that app. So, guys, you can go to the iPhone store or the Android store. You just type in Dave Palumbo Experience, and it'll come up. Download it and subscribe.
We are on YouTube Live. We're also live on Instagram. So if you're watching us on Instagram, welcome. The full episode is going to be available on our YouTube channel and, of course, RxMuscle.com. Xavius Gaydon watching us, so we tip our hat to you, and we go first to our YouTube questions. If you want to join in, I'm going to be taking questions from the Muscle Central Forum on RxMuscle.com, on our YouTube channel, Facebook page, our Instagram page, which is official_RxMuscle, or Twitter if you want to join in using the hashtag AskDave. We got one from Jacked and Juicy Sequence. Please interview Janet Layug before the Arnold. That's somebody that we did interview last year before the Arnold, and I believe before the Olympia as well.
I like Janet. I've interviewed her before. She's probably one of the best looking girls in the entire bikini division. Don't get me wrong. So if you want to go on a beauty contest, she probably would be the winner for certain. I don't know if we're going to have time to interview her. We have a limited amount of time. Obviously, we have 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks now to the Arnold. We'll be leaving next Thursday, so it's really a week. We're trying to jam as many people as we can in. If Janet wanted to be interviewed, we can definitely reach out to her and see if we can get her on for a quick interview as well. We want to give the athletes as much publicity as possible, because I think, and the funny thing is that some of the athletes, and I know, Sid, this is irking you because you come from a sports background where sporting guys never turn on an interview. A lot of our competitors don't want to be interviewed, or they just think there's no value, or whatever the case may be. It's hard to get them to commit. Most people are completely cooperative, and they get it. They want to be on the show. They want to promote who they are. They want people to see their face. But there's that couple of pain in the asses, and you guys out there know who you are, Cedric, that I can't get on the show. I don't know what the problem is. You would think that they don't need any publicity, but it is what it is. Like I said, we're going to try to put forth the best content and interviews and pre-show before we get to the Arnold, so everyone's super excited about it when we actually get there and start reporting.
It is frustrating, and it is a topic that we're going to be talking about on Iron Debate, so you're going to want to stay tuned for that. Let's go to Daniel Emmel. Dave, did you use any specific study techniques when you were in med school? I'm currently studying for my pharmacology exam and am open for suggestions on how to study effectively.
I'm gonna give you guys my secret to studying, because I went to med school and I was in there, and these guys would be in the library for 25 hours a day. They would never leave the library. I would go to the library, literally, I'd be there 10 minutes because it was so warm I'd fall asleep. I'd never get anything done there. I don't know how people study in the library. So this is my method. I would get out of class, everyone else would be going to study. But I knew that productive study is more important than how long you study. If you're not learning anything, but you're just looking at the book for 18 hours a day, you're wasting your time. I'm an efficient studier. What I would do is I would go to the gym after class, I'd come back, I would make dinner, or whatever it was at the time, probably dinner. I would take a nap for anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes, no more than that. Maybe an hour at the most, but if you go more than 45 minutes, you're going to have trouble sleeping later that night. Then I would get up, I would eat a little light snack or protein shake, and I would study. And I would study, and I would be so alert from that nap. That nap got me so rejuvenated that the studying that I would do for the next 4 hours till 1 in the morning or whatever it was was so productive that I didn't need to study for 8 hours. And I think that's a mistake people make. If you're well rested and your mind is sharp and you're fed and everything is good and your body feels good because you're exercising, you're not just sitting around like a slug, you are going to assimilate and absorb information much better. And that goes for anything. Try taking a nap, eat something, and then go on the internet and read. Read stuff if you like about nutrition, whatever you like to do. Look on my Dave Palumbo Experience app. You'll absorb that material so much better and you'll be in a good mood while you're doing it.
Shout out to our good friend Fuad Abiad watching us on Instagram Live again. His Road to the Arnold episode is on RxMuscle.com and, of course, the YouTube channel. David Hood, Dave, your thoughts on the Iron Addicts gym in Miami getting raided by the DEA today?
I never want to see anyone get arrested, okay? Especially not for steroids, because to me it's such a ridiculous law that they're illegal. But look, the gym owner was driving around in a Lamborghini and a Porsche, okay? You don't make that kind of money, okay, running a gym. It doesn't happen, okay? It's not that profitable. Just like, selling supplements, you don't make that much money. When you see people having what I call FU money, that always sets off a little bell in my head that something is awry, okay? And I had mentioned, I think they were running that wellness nutrition through there, there's a website where they were selling steroids online. I don't know the story. I don't want to give false information. But the bottom line is that I feel bad for the owners. I feel bad for the people who worked out at the gym because the gym was a phenomenal gym. Everyone loved that gym. And the members, now it's closed down, at least hopefully only temporarily. And the members can't go there because the owners screwed up, and that's all there is to it. And hopefully these guys won't get a lot of time and they'll be able to, get through this. But if I were them, I would call Rick Collins.
Let's go to Diaro. Dave, can I use low dose of insulin all year round with growth hormone to prevent insulin resistance from the growth hormone, or do I need to take a break from one or the other?
Well, number one, don't start trying to take something to duplicate or neutralize something else if you don't even know anything's wrong yet. If you're taking under 4 IUs of GH a day, you're probably not insulin resistant, okay? If you're taking over that, you're probably stupid that you're spending the extra money and you're taking more than that. But in that point, you need to start testing your blood sugars. So you got to get a blood sugar monitor, and you just prick your finger and you test your blood sugar. If your blood sugars are running normal, don't worry about it. If they're running a little high, okay, even a little high, then you might have an issue, and you might not need to supplement with some kind of insulin. But then you got to determine what type of insulin. As long as your blood sugars are not running super high, you could probably just take Humulin R twice a day, like the regimen that I recommend is. Some people are running super high blood sugars. They may need a long-acting insulin, like Atlantis. To be honest with you, if you're running high blood sugars because you're on a ton of GH, stop. Why would you want to destroy your body long-term for the stupidity of what you're doing now, okay? So be smart about what you're doing, guys. You can't just make knee-jerk responses and say, I need this because I hear that this could cause this. Find out if it's causing this. Not everyone has the same side effects.
Speaking of growth hormone, Jack wants to know, how long can someone be using growth hormone and not become diabetic?
Well, like I said just in the previous question, it's all dose related. If you're taking 2 to 3 IUs a day for rejuvenation purposes or even for some muscle building, you're not going to be very insulin resistant, and you're not going to have to worry about that. You could take it indefinitely if you really wanted to, if you could afford it. I know guys on hormone replacement, they take it, they always take it every day, 2 IUs a day. That's it. If you're going to use, I always said, and I've given this advice many a time, the length of time you're on the GH is more important than how much you take. So instead of taking 5 IUs a day for 18 weeks and then taking off 18 weeks or taking off a couple, whatever, I would rather see people use it year-round at 2 IUs a day. I think it's more potent that way, less side effects, less negative health ramifications. The problem is nowadays people want to take 18 IUs every day of the year. I don't know where people are getting all this money for this. Maybe they work for that gym that just got raided. I don't know. The point is, don't do things in excess, okay? You have to do everything at the right amount. If you go too much, you're asking for trouble, and you're not really going to see that many more benefits. I promise you. You'll see more side effects.
3 quick hitter questions from Finkel IFBB. 1, can T3 be taken in one dosage per day, or is it better to be split up?
When you start out taking Cytomel or T3, usually, I start people at 25 micrograms per dose. I usually recommend. That's fine to take in one dose. Once you go higher, like adding 12.5 micrograms a day, going up to 37.5, then I would split it. So take 25 in the morning, and then 12 hours later, take the other 12.5. Cytomel is really a 12-hour drug, so it has its peaks around then. It'll last longer. It'll probably last almost 24 hours, but you get most of its peak benefits at 12. So if you're going over 25 mics a day, I would go to a double dose. But you don't need to go to 3, 4, 5 dosages. It's unnecessary because it is a 12-hour pill. Whereas clenbuterol, I like to split them into 20 microgram dosages throughout the day.
Is steamed broccoli okay with fatty protein meal on keto?
Broccoli is an okay vegetable. It's a little starchy. It has natural sugars in it. So I don't use a lot of broccoli on my ketogenic diet. I use a lot of green beans. I use a lot of asparagus, spinach. Those are really low-carb vegetables, and they taste good. You can bulk up your meals with them a little bit, and not really worry too much. You start putting too much broccoli in there, and you're in trouble, okay, because there is carbs in there.
And the third one he wanted to know, can you mix fibrilize and isolyze together?
You can. I personally don't like it. It's too thick to me, and it kind of ruins the taste, but I like to drink them separately, but you can do it, no problem.
Let's go to, see if we have any more shout-outs here from Johnny, our producer. Let's go to Jason Brown. Dave, when is species creatine coming out?
Creatine, when is it coming out, Kareem? Calling in the other room. Any day. Literally, they say the beginning of March, so I guess let's say next week. Okay, that's my promised delivery date.
Suzuki Guy, Dave, how do you feel about B12 injections?
I think they have a place. I used to do them when I competed. I don't know if it did anything or not, but every time I get my B12 tested, my levels tested, I'm always pretty high. So I think the V mineralized multivitamin that I take, I think gives me a nice dose of it, and I can orally absorb it. Some people can't orally absorb B12 well because it has a very unique absorption route. In those people, and the only way you would know that would be to get your B12 levels checked. And if anyone wants to know like a list of good blood work to get done when you go to the doctor, if you email me at huge285@AOL.com, I will send you the suggested blood work you should get done. One of those tests is obviously is B12 because you want to see if your B12 levels are good. Because if you're not, you become anemic. You don't produce enough red blood cells, so that's not good. So most people have good levels of B12, and the body can store B12 up to 6 months. So you don't run out of it if you don't take in enough of it. You can, like I said, you have to really not take it in for quite a long time. So I would get your levels checked. If they're low and you're taking a multivitamin and maybe you're not absorbing it, in which case I would probably take a shot at least once a month. Some people every 2 weeks. You take a cc of vitamin B12. I believe in. I don't know for a fact. I know they used to. I know Amazon.com used to sell injectable B12. I don't know if they still do. You guys can check it out.
Colton Davis, muscle relaxers and bodybuilding. Any positive or negative effects? How exactly do they affect your body?
Well, the term muscle relaxant means that the muscles are relaxed by this drug, which is not a really good drug to take if you're bodybuilding and you want your muscles performing at maximum output. So it kind of makes them mush. If anyone has ever taken a muscle relaxant, you feel like rubber. Okay, your body. It's like you just feel like and some people like that feeling. Don't get me wrong. Some people get messed up on those things, but it's not a good bodybuilding drug. If you had a severe muscle spasm in your back, say, and it was or your neck, and it was driving you insane, obviously taking a muscle relaxant is warranted, but you don't want to be taking them on a regular basis.
Let's go to our Instagram question. Again, if you're watching us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button below if you're not already subscribed. We have all sorts of programming coming up for a road to the Arnold. And then when we're there in, say about 8 days, we're going to have all sorts of interviews with the top athletes from the expo, preview videos, wrap-ups, the whole gamut. Not going to miss any of it. Subscribe. You're not going to miss any of our videos. Let's go to Jim Del Gelfa 40. Dave, how do you interact fatigue symptoms from coming off of 8 weeks of test cypionate cycle, 2 cc's of usage?
What, I'm not really sure what the question. Something about fatigue?
But how do you counteract fatigue symptoms?
Oh, well, look, payback's a bitch. You know, you give your body anabolics and they crank up your body and you get strong and fierce and aggressive. And then when you take it away, you're going to feel the pain of what you just put your body to. You're going to be, you have a joint, you're going to have achy joints. You're going to be a little weaker. You're not going to have as much energy. You got to deal with it. You know, drink some coffee if you need to, you know, pick yourself up a little bit. Make sure you're getting your food intake in. A lot of people, when they don't take anabolics, they think, oh, I'm not going to eat as much. That's a mistake, because if you cut back your food, your body's going to start cannibalizing muscle. Keep that food and that nutrition coming in so you can sustain that muscle. Sleep more. That's another great thing. You know, a lot of people don't sleep that much when they take anabolics because it kind of makes them a little anxious. You're going to be much more tired now that you're off the anabolics. Let your body take advantage of that. Go to bed an hour earlier every night or 2 hours earlier. You'll thank me. You'll recover better. Sleep is the most important thing for the central nervous system to recover, and obviously it helps the muscles heal as well.
Abraham Bills wants to know your top 3 for the Arnold. You're going to have to save that till next week when you make your official Arnold prediction, so you want to stay tuned for that. Jevnikar Fitness. Dave being 5.5 weeks out from a show and having lower lumbar strain, would adding or replacing barbell squats with hack squats and bent over rows with chest supported rows be a really bad idea as far as keeping my thickness?
With 3 weeks left, you're probably not going to lose a hell of a lot of muscle if you went to machine movements, you know, for safety purposes. I've hurt my quad, and I know a lot of guys. I know Fouad Abiad on the show said he tore part of his quad, and he's not really going to be able to train it very effectively the last 3 weeks. And I guarantee his legs won't look any smaller. It's hard if you train hard on a regular basis to lose muscle mass, okay, that quickly. Now, if you were debilitated and you couldn't walk on the leg, and you were, you know, that would be a different story. But if you're walking around and just, you know, and he seems like he's functioning well, he just doesn't want to strain his back, I think that doing those machines will be absolutely fine, and I don't think you'll lose much size. Now, that's not to say that if you were able to do the free weight heavy movements, I would encourage people to do that, because sometimes you might add muscle. You don't know. So, but I think for safety purposes, if you have a pre-existing issue, I think that that's a wise move.
Let's go to Barbarian B23. Dave, I hate your show more than George Farah hates being shot. My question is, what's the benefit of using metformin during a diet or a carb up?
Well, I don't know if I would use it during a diet, just because, you know, you're probably not eating that many carbs, so you probably don't need it. As far as on a carb up, I don't know if I would really use it either. I mean, it's supposed to make you more insulin sensitive, but no one's storing fat when they're carbing up. They're just loading glycogen into the muscle. I always of the belief, don't complicate things. Once you start throwing extra drugs in there that you've never used, who knows how your body's going to respond to it? Why would you put it in right at the end? It doesn't make sense. I'm not a big advocate of metformin. I don't like it. I know it theoretically on paper it sounds good by insulin sensitizing the body, but it also inhibits IGF-1 release. And that's the reason why, if you've read any studies on metformin, it shows that it has anti-cancer properties. The anti-cancer properties come from the fact that it suppresses IGF-1 release, which is not something a bodybuilder wants to do.
Somebody wants to know if you think Kevin Levrone will win the Arnold. Well, nicely done. All right, let's go to Jack and Stack 1. Dave, any difference or benefits between fermented glutamine / BCAAs and regular or non-fermented glutamine / BCAAs? Seems to be a big push lately with some supplement companies pushing the fermented version.
Yeah, we're going to be coming out with. I actually have some samples on the side. I just drank a glass of it of fermented aminos. I like the fermented aminos better because of the fact that they are made using bacteria as opposed to the normal cheaper amino acids, which are gotten from human hair. And the human hair that they go to China and they buy the hair that they sweep up in the barbershops, and they digest that down. And after they digest that down, they purify it. Obviously, there's no bacteria or anything like that, but still, think about where it came from. And that's your amino acids. So the fermented ones are made using bacteria, almost like the way growth hormone is made. GH is made, and insulin is made by bacteria expressing the growth hormone gene. That's how amino acids are. This is my samples right here. Take a quick look. All right. So we got a bunch of samples into, and like I said, you really can't taste the difference, but it's the quality. Once again, do you want to put the high quality ingredients or the crappy quality ingredients into your body? It's your choice out there because it's your money you're spending. I personally will spend a few extra bucks and put the good stuff in my body.
Shout out Derek Farnsworth, Jason Posen, good friend of the show, watching us live on Instagram. Let's go back to now our Instagram questions. Angelo Bodybuilding, Dave is pharmaceutical grade GH that has been expired but kept in the fridge, still usable. It's in cartridges, already reconstituted.
Good question. If it's reconstituted, it might not stay good that long. I'll tell you one thing. I had some Nootropin. It wasn't the liquid. It was the powder one before they came out with the liquid one. And I had it in a friend's refrigerator. And I forgot it was there. And when he moved, he called me up. This was years ago. He called me up and he said, "Hey, Dave, I got this growth hormone you gave me. It was like 5 vials or something like that to hold for you. I'm moving. I didn't even know I had it still." So he gave it back to me, and I'm telling you, I mixed it. I used it. It was 4 years expired, and the stuff was great. Now, I'm not saying to use expired pharmaceuticals, but if it's kept in a controlled environment where it's not too hot, okay, we're not getting too cold, the stuff is pretty stable. Okay, these drugs don't just stop working on the expiration date. And anabolic steroids that are oil-based probably will last 100 years, before they go bad. So, once again, if it's in a controlled temperature environment, they're probably good. The good thing about GH is if you mix it and it turns cloudy, it's no good. But if it doesn't turn cloudy and stays clear, it's probably good.
Jose Raymond watching us on Instagram. Jose, stick around. As soon as this show ends, we will have you on for the latest installment of Road to the Arnold. We got a couple of personal questions, Dave. I'm wondering if I should ask them or if it might get you in trouble with your wife. So let's stay. I better
snort some of this. I better snort some of this fermented amino acids.
Let's go to M. Lodi. Dave, greetings from Poland. What do you think about Nolvadex for fat loss?
Estrogen blockers don't burn fat. They reduce estrogen. Now, if estrogen is causing an overaccumulation of estrogen-dependent fat in the lower body, especially of women, taking an estrogen blocker like Nolvadex can definitely help mobilize fat and harden up a lower body. However, if there's not an overabundance of estrogen around, taking Nolvadex is not going to get you leaner. It's not a fat-burning agent. So you got to make that discrepancy.
Let's go to PC 1170. Dave, what was the type of milk thistle recommended by Life Extension? Trying to get the name.
I use European milk thistle, it's called. It's actually not a powder. It actually comes in a gel cap. And Life Extension makes it. You can go to Amazon.com and buy it. That's what I use. I'm trying to have a guy. I'm working with a guy who does. If you guys know anything about the kidney stuff I sell on my website, it's made by a company. I know the guy who owns it, and it's a terrific product. If you have high creatinine or your kidneys, you feel like you want to flush your kidneys, detox them. I mean, I have guys that buy it from my DavePalumbo.com website, and they use it year-round just for kidney protection. But this guy's trying to develop a liver, I think he's going to call liver stuff, to be honest with you, a product that will be superior to this European milk thistle. But right now, it's still in the developmental stages. But I've been using European milk thistle for probably 5 years, and my liver values have never been better. I never had normal liver values on any blood work, and probably the last 4 or 5 years, mine have gone completely to normal since I've been using this. Not to mention, obviously, I'm not training as hard as I was. I want to preface that when you do blood work and your liver enzymes are high, it's not always due to liver stress. Most of the time, it's due to hardcore training. And that training effect breaks down muscle tissue, which leaks these same enzymes that are found in the liver cells out of the muscle cells. So once again, it's not always cause and effect, but I will tell you this, like I said, the European milk thistle happens to be an excellent product.
Let's go to Ben Getting It Fitness. Can you drop some info on gear and detection times for PED tests? I want to know the detection time for tren acetate, but I also want to know the best drugs to use to pass a drug test fast.
Don't take drugs, and you'll pass the drug test. Trenbolone acetate, because it's fast acting, is probably out of you. You could probably use it, and 2 weeks later, it probably won't be in your system. Here's the problem though. When you take an injectable drug, okay, even though it might have a very quick half-life to get out of the body, a lot of times, sometimes that oil you're injecting gets trapped, okay, in the muscle, and it starts trickling out slower than you thought. So you took a shot 4 weeks ago, but there's still some stuff in your body you didn't know about that was stuck in some scar tissue, and now it's still leaking into your bloodstream, and it gives you a false positive. So usually when people, at least what I recommend, if people are going to take a drug test, stick with oral compounds in the last 4 weeks only. Winstrol tabs, Anavar tabs, whatever, Dianabol tabs. Why? Because you could stop those at 2 weeks out, pass a drug test, and there's not going to be any worry of the stuff having residual, crap left in your body that's going to cause you to fail the drug test. I can't tell you how many athletes have failed drug tests and they weren't even on anything for the last 10 weeks, but there was scar tissue in their body, whatever the case. It happens with Winstrol injectable a lot. So I always recommend that people stick with the orals the last 4 weeks.
Alfredo Salazar, I'm a Marine Corps veteran. Thank you for your service. With anxiety and sleep issues. My question, does taking glutamine before bed help getting a restful sleep?
No, it does not. Glutamine really doesn't. Glutamine only, you know what glutamine is good for? It's good for the lining of your intestinal tract. So if you have like Crohn's disease or colitis, it's very helpful in regenerating that lining of your, it doesn't do anything for muscle gains. It doesn't do anything for relaxation. I'll tell you what works great for relaxation, GABA. Okay, because GABA is a relaxation neurotransmitter. You take 2 grams of GABA before bed, and you will relax like you're taking a Xanax, okay? And then the problem with GABA is it'll knock you out, but it doesn't keep you asleep. So a lot of people have anxiety, have trouble falling asleep, but they also have trouble staying asleep. So I like to use melatonin for that purpose. So 3 milligrams also before bed. So what I did is I created this product called Somalize. We sell it at speciesnutrition.com. And Somalize is basically GABA with melatonin with a couple of natural non-stimulant-based fat burners in there as well. And you take that before bed, it makes you fall asleep and it keeps you asleep. And I think that's why it's one of our best-selling products. It's kind of a sleeper product, no pun intended, but it works. If you have trouble sleeping and relaxing at night, you take 3 pills 20 minutes before bed and you'll feel a little tingling. That's the GABA working. Get into bed and I guarantee you, you'll fall asleep great and you'll have a great night's sleep.
Bro, do you even towel row? Dave, other than glutes and delts, what are your favorite spots to inject?
Toward the end of my career, probably the last 5 years, lats was a big one. Just right under your arm. You're not under your arm, but like right in the middle of your lat right here. It's a nice, soft, big, thick muscle. The needle goes in right nice and easy there. You can put an inch and a half in there, and you know what? It doesn't hurt. And you can hold a lot of volume there, and you know what? It doesn't look bad. The key is right before a show, especially, you don't want big lumps in your shoulders or your glutes, so that's a good spot that can hold a lot of volume without, showing, ridiculousness.
You're watching Ask Dave on RxMuscle.com. Reminder, right now on RxMuscle.com and our YouTube channel, our Road to the Arnold series. Right now we have Guy Cisternino, Hide Yamagishi, last year's 212 champ. Luke Sando coming up, Andre Ferguson coming up, Jose Raymond, Oksana Grishina, and a whole lot more, as well as Fuad Abiad live right now on RxMuscle.com and our YouTube channel. Carlos Molinari, Dave, I've been squatting 225 for about 1 year now and can't seem to increase weight without proper form. Any advice on how to overcome this plateau?
there's a lot of different techniques. I mean, you could train less frequently, which usually makes you stronger. Start out doing, what I would do is every time I wanted to go up in weight when I would squat, because it was scary. I get up to 3 plates and I wanted to get to 4 plates. When I actually put that 4th plate on the bar, or I actually put the 5th plate on each side and made it 500 or even to 600, it was more mentally challenging than it was physically challenging. And I think I was psyching myself out. So what I would do is I would get under that weight at the end of my workout, and I would have a spotter that I trusted, a training partner of mine, and I would go down with the weight, but they would be there helping me the whole way. So I was feeling the weight, but I wasn't necessarily feeling the stress of having to lift the weight. But once you get used to that weight on your back, it makes it much easier to do it. The hardest jump I made was when I went to that 6 plates on each side, which was 585. And I was so scared doing it. But once I did a couple of weeks in a row with just holding that weight on me, I got used to it. It wasn't intimidating anymore. And then one day I just went in there and I did it. And so you got to push yourself into that uncomfortable danger zone, okay? That's why it's important that you wear the right gear, you use knee wraps, you put a belt on, and you have a good spotter present, okay? 225 is not a lot. You could push past that safely. It's just a matter of, in your mind, you're not able to push past it. And that, just because you do a weight doesn't mean you have to do 15 reps with it. You can do 2 reps, okay? And then the following week you try for 3, and then the following week you try for 4. That's how you build up to heavier weights.
We'll take one more question, but before we do that, just to kind of give you a preview as to who we have upcoming on the Road to the Arnold Classic interview series. We mentioned Oksana Grishina, Jose Raymond, Luke Sandow, and Andre Ferguson. Well, tomorrow we're going to be filming with Brandon Hendrickson, last year's Arnold Men's Physique champ, Latoria Watts, who right now is on top of the figure world, Autumn Swanson, and Zane Watson of the 212 class. We're trying to get some of the competitors from the open class, but as Dave started this show saying, some of them just don't want to interview, period. But let's go to our Facebook page for the final question. Go to Sheer or Sure Wilson. Dave, thoughts on training fasted, final meal, to nightly sleep, to wake up and train, intermittent fasting 12 to 14 hours on a keto program, and whether eggs or whey isolate immediately post-workout will be preferred, goals being lean muscle gain while leaning out slowly.
Now, I missed the beginning where you said they want to do fasted training. Is that what they want?
Yes.
So in other words, not eat. But I don't know how they were doing fasting training at night. Is that what the question was?
Yeah. Sleep, wake up, train, so the intermittent fasting period would be 12 to 14 hours.
Oh, okay. So they want to wake up and train without eating. I don't think that's a good idea. You never want to weight train on an empty stomach because your body uses carbohydrates as a fuel source, okay? So invariably what happens, you wake up, you have nothing, and you have low blood sugar, and then you go to the gym and you try to train. What's going to happen? Your body has to raise blood sugar real quickly. So what it does is it releases cortisol. Cortisol takes amino acids out of the muscle cells, okay? It breaks down muscle tissue, and it turns them into glucose to give your body fuel, okay? You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. You want to have something in your bloodstream already, ready to go. So I would, if you're going to get up and you have to go train in the morning, okay, and you still want to do 12 hours of fasting a day, you have to just stop eating earlier in the day. That's all there is to it. So if you're going to get up at 8 in the morning and train, have a shake before you go to the gym. Go to the gym, train, come back, and then, eat your meals and have your last meal before 8 o'clock at night. That's one way to do it. When I was bodybuilding, I would never do intermittent fasting because I need to get all my nutrients possible, and I didn't want to go for long periods of time. Now that I'm not eating that much every day, and I don't care, I'm trying to stay, live a long life and feel healthy, I don't mind going, 12 hours, but I still don't train fasted. If I go to the gym, I always have something to eat first, okay? You need something. You need that nutrition in there, or you're counteracting every good thing you're doing trying to go to the gym.
Let's take one more, actually, from Brad McCaff. Dave, should someone have high prolactin after months of coming off cycle completely, or is this not normal? Please help.
Everyone's different, okay? So, I may have normal prolactin all the time, no matter if I take Trenbolone or Deca or I don't take anything. Other people, they may look at a bottle of Deca and their prolactin may go up. So, is it normal? No, you really shouldn't have high prolactin if you're not taking any steroids or anything like that. or doing anything weird to your body. And that could be an indication that you have some kind of a prolactin tumor or something. I don't know, something's going on in your body, or your hormones are just out of whack. It can mean. So I would go get a full blood panel, comparable to what I was saying earlier in the show. If you guys want to email me, I'll send you what I guess tests you should get done. And you got to look at the whole picture. You can't just look at one hormone and say, "Ooh, this is off." Let's look at your estrogen. Let's look at your testosterone. Let's look at your dihydrotestosterone. Let's look at your cortisol levels. Let's see what's going on in the body, because if one thing is off, usually more than one thing is off. Okay, so you got to check everything, and I think that's super important to take note of. You got to make sure, okay, your body is in balance. Okay, because when one thing is off, it's usually caused by multiple other things being off.
That is going to do it for this episode of Ask Dave. We're going to have one more next week before, of course, we go to the Arnold Classic. A whole host of Arnold-related programming coming up on RxMuscle.com and our YouTube channel. If you haven't already subscribed, do so. You're not going to miss any of these videos. For Johnny Styles and Dave Palumbo, I'm Sadiq Faruqi. We'll see you next time.